riders on the
All right, what is going on, everybody? Thanks for joining us today on the In the Paint podcast. Celtics defeat the Pacers last night, 118-112. We're definitely going to start off with that.
Let's go.
Kemba Walker looked really good, finally. Robert Williams, no surprise, another great game. Daniel Tice came through in the clutch for us. So I guess we'll start off with Kemba, though, because he was the big story. What'd you see from Kemba?
I saw that he was taking shots more consistently and that he was actually feeling his shot a lot better than he was in the past couple of games. So noticing him and how he goes about playing basketball, he's got a very quick to slow ratio. That comment right there, we don't want
As I just took it off.
We don't want any of that. There's no Tatum slander at all. He just had a rough game, so you can't really bash anyone for just having one bad game. So I mean, they're gonna have their highs and their lows, but this right here for Kemba is definitely a high point in the season.
Yeah, his first 30-plus point game of the season. It's definitely notable. He looked comfortable. He was getting to that mid-range shot that he's so good at. That's definitely a staple of his game, and you want to see him taking those. Doesn't look like the knee is an issue, which we've heard, but obviously you don't know what's going on. It's his body. So if it is really more of a mental thing with Kemba, I think this game is a good sign of what's to come.
I just hope that he doesn't hurt himself again, because we've seen him have big games like this, and then he'll end up having like a 4 or 5 point game right after this because it becomes an issue again. So I mean, especially on those kick out, he kicks his legs out whenever he does that three to try and get the foul, and it hurt. He's hyperextending his knee whenever he does that. So hopefully he doesn't cause any pain to it whenever he's doing that. So I mean, maybe that's the issue. Maybe he needs to relearn how to shoot the three, because especially whenever he does that, he's using his knees more.
Yeah, I was actually having similar thoughts. There was one play where I think a big man on the Pacers was about to get a layup, and Kemba ran as fast as he could to chase him down and try to bother it. But it's you got to take it easy, man. That knee is not 100%.
He wants that knee isn't 100%. I mean, but he wants to play like it's 100% because he wants to be 100%. He just knows that. I guarantee in the back of his mind somewhere, he knows that knee is still trying to heal. But with the jump shots on the threes, trying to get the contact for the and one, it's always whenever he comes off a screen. So he'll pop off of the screen and pick himself up and extend his knees out.
Yeah.
So I just hope that he fixes it.
Yeah, I do too. Also, what's going on, Declan? Good to see you here, man. Yeah, and you had mentioned Tatum as well. I did want to bring that up. I did make a little banner for him. But should Tatum have some sort of load management? Because, you have these games where Tatum just does not look like himself. I mean, how do we limit these games? Because obviously if Tatum can be consistent, that's a W for the Celtics. Do you think maybe having a couple of off nights here and there could help him stay fresh?
I think so. I think it's also just watching to see how he reacts going up and down the floor, because he had COVID at one point. So he's also come out with a statement saying that it's affecting his breathing whenever he's going up and down the floor, and he's becoming lethargic whenever he's trying to be, especially in the last couple of minutes in the game. You'll notice how he's so sluggish. We just have to keep an eye on that, if he's starting to get all the lethargicness and all that stuff, we need to pull him and put someone else in. We have to take notice of it quicker. But I just think that we keep him in there because that's one of the faces of our team. So you want to make sure that he plays well and gets the amount of minutes that he should. But also at the same time, you should probably do some load manage with him. Cheese him. I can't even say that. But you may have to bench him for a couple of games, or maybe just sit down and talk to him and figure out what he wants to do going forward. But
yeah,
I think it may just be for the best of the team because we've seen games for like last night where he only had 9 points. Yes, he had 9 rebounds, I believe, as well. So almost a double double, but it's a low scoring double double. So it's not really making that much of an impact.
Yeah, they might need to put him on the Kawhi Leonard regimen. Throw in some load management here and there, off nights on teams like that we should be able to beat. But
the thing that bothers me is that he was playing so well before he got COVID, and a lot of people were talking about having him at the table for MVP conversation, and I was like, hell yeah, like I think Tatum should be an MVP this year because of how well he's playing. Brown is making a case to be most improved, but after seeing him get COVID and then he comes back and he's not doing that hot, I think he may need to get some load management. Boom, I said it.
Yeah, even just if it's just a little bit. It doesn't have to be a lot because I know this team they've been underperforming, let's be frank about it.
Yeah.
We don't want him to load manage too much, but if it's going to benefit him and how he performs each night when he is playing, why not try it out?
Yeah, I mean for at least a couple of games to see how it goes, but I don't know how this season is gonna go because this season reminds me of like back in the dark times of like 2013, 2014 Celtics where we were, under 500 and we weren't like a playoff team, and then we ended up with Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum. I mean, fade for Cade, or is it too late?
Probably too late, in my opinion.
Probably too late, yeah. I mean, especially with the Timberwolves having a record of like 7 and 21.
Yeah, they've been looking really bad. But personally, I still have hope with this team. I think I'll throw up the banner early. We've got some positive news coming after the break. We should be seeing Marcus Smart and Romeo Langford return to the lineup. Smart for sure is going to make a huge impact. You could tell the team missed him when he went out. I know that some people aren't crazy about what he brings on the offensive end, but you have to respect, number one, his playmaking, and number two, his defense, obviously. And the defense has been struggling lately, so I think that's going to make a big difference when Smart comes back, and maybe we'll just try to get him to fit in with that offense a little better. That's something we can work on. And then hopefully Romeo Langford can do something off the bench.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see Marcus Smart come back. There's a reason why he was first team all defense. But I don't know. I'm not too sure about Romeo Langford. I think he's missed too much time, and I don't know if he has like a spot on this team. The last time Romeo Langford played for us was in the bubble, Sticky. That's the last time that he played for us.
Yeah, and that was when he hurt his wrist.
Which was a while ago. Yeah, that's why he had to go into it. Well, he had just rehabbed it for almost the whole entire season, or like whenever we had that little like break between the actual season and then COVID started and then we had the bubble. So he was rehabbing that whole time, and he thought that he was good enough to like come in and contribute. But other than that, he's had to go back into rehab to do the wrist rehabbing.
And he looked good in the bubble too.
He did.
Worth adding. His defense is really good.
I just don't know if his window is here, though. Like, I think he's missed his window because we've had so many new guys come in and, they've contributed more than he may. There's so much young talent on this team that we may need to swap that young talent for a veteran player.
Yeah, well, so personally, I'm just hoping that Langford can come in and take away some of those Semi Ojeleye and Javonte Green minutes. I think he can be a better version of those players.
Javonte and Semi aren't bad, but it's just you just hope for something more out of someone else.
That's what I'm hoping Langford can be. We saw flashes of how good he can be. His defense is definitely there. And just hoping he can grow into his offensive game a little bit. So definitely have that to look forward to. Getting back. Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's nice to know that Marcus Smart was like Romeo Langford's mentor whenever he came in too. Like whenever all the new guys came in that we drafted, and then just to see Marcus Smart hang out with Romeo Langford all that time. You hope that that's what they're doing right now. Whenever they're out right now, they're hanging out. Getting that bond together, see if they can come up with a defensive scheme to maybe they're both out on the court at the same time. Smart running at the PG and Romeo running at the shooting guard position. Then hopefully they can be a very well defensive minded unit together.
Yeah, I would really like to see that. I think that Langford has the fundamentals, and if Smart can kind of help and mentor him a little bit, that would be really good, and kind of try to turn Langford into an elite perimeter and wing defender. That would be a great asset for this team. So you just hope that he can stay healthy once he comes back. That's the big thing with him. But anyways, let's get back to Celtics Pacers a bit. I wanted to talk about the front court. Daniel Tice looks really good. He was clutch down the stretch too. His shooting has been a big surprise this season. It's not like he was bad shooting last season, but he's looked like people have to respect him out there when he's on the 3-point line.
Right, he's expanded.
So that's obviously that opens up a lot more things for your offense. So it's great that he's becoming that stretch big, and he hit a big 3 down the stretch that was basically the dagger in this game. So you love to see it. And something you mentioned too, I'm hoping that Daniel Tice and Robert Williams can start to gel together a little bit more.
Yeah, right before we started the stream, I was talking about, maybe we do move Tatum back to the 3, and the ultimate lineup is Kemba, Jalen, Jayson, Tice, and then Time Lord. That's a solid core right there. You have your two all-stars. Okay, hold on. Cut it. Pull up that comment right there. You see that jersey right there? I bought that jersey with my own money. There's no way I don't even see Tatum getting traded at all. There's a 0% chance.
No, they just extended him. They're not doing that.
Exactly. They just extended him. They want him to stay there, and he actually you're crazy. You're out. I can't stand it. Ugh. Try not to get under my skin, but I just had to point that out for a second because that's probably the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. All right.
Anyways, which one? I think we were on Tice.
Yeah. So like the lineup that I was talking about, having Brown and Tatum there as the 2 and 3 really puts the ball into like a position to where it can start to fly again. You know how we used to have the ball handling, and you'd see the ball like fly around the perimeter at all times.
Yep.
Having the spacing of Tice and Time Lord, where they've been there for a couple of years and they know how each other plays, especially with Brown and Tatum being there for like the second and third longest people being there, then they should know how to play with each other, Like they should know how to keep that ball flying. It shouldn't be so stagnant. And that's the thing that frustrates me, is because you see one person with a ball and everyone else stand around. And it blows my mind that no one can create their own offense at all. Like they'll just stay stagnant and everyone wants to just catch and shoot, and no one wants to move or set screens for someone else so they can run around. This team needs to move so much more with the ball. And that's just one of the things that I've noticed, is that their ball movement is gone.
Mm-hmm.
They either create for themselves or they don't create at all, and it ends up being a turnover. They have no ball movement whatsoever. We see flashes of it here and there, like the past game in Toronto. We had good ball movement because this was a team that we had to beat. But if it's like a team like the Wizards or something like that, we come out so cocky and we're like, oh yeah, we're going to win this game. Oh yeah. Or like with the Detroit Pistons, oh yeah, we're going to win this game, And then we end up getting blown out because we have no ball movement. And like the interviews that have taken place in the past couple of weeks with Ainge, Wick, Mike Gorman, and then the weekly interviews with Brad Stevens. They all see the same thing. So why is nothing changing?
Yeah, it's a
Everyone
good
says that a
question.
move. Yeah, everyone is saying that a move needs to be made, but yet nothing is being done. I get that some things have been close, but something has to be done soon.
Yeah. So just looking at this stat line with Tice, something that stood out to me is only 4 rebounds.
Yeah,
And honestly, I don't mind that because if we're playing him as like a stretch four, that's fine. You know, let Robert Williams and Tristan Thompson go and eat on the boards, hang out near the perimeter, set some screens. We played good defense. If he can fit into that role, I think that would be great for this team. And I just wanted to throw up this stat line. Look at how ridiculous this stat line is from Robert Williams. I'm
he
not
needs
even
to start.
I'm not even surprised anymore. But a double double, 3 blocks, a steal, and he's a good playmaker too. You know,
Yeah,
you were just talking about moving the ball around. I'd really like it if we could try to develop Robert Williams into a kind of like Bam Adebayo type center and kind of play off of him. I think that would be great for Robert Williams, and all of this is in 22 minutes. It's like, why aren't we playing him more?
I think that's something that needs to be asked to Brad Stevens because that's a coaching decision. You
Hmm.
know, whenever it comes down to it, that's a coaching decision, and we're gonna get into that in a second about Brad. But that's a coaching decision that's made where they're like, oh yeah, we're only gonna play you 22 minutes tonight. Okay, as soon as you hit that 22 minutes, we're gonna pull you out. Like not even on a minutes restriction. Like as soon as like they see, like it doesn't matter if he does something good or something bad. It's just as soon as he like does something, they're just like, all right, come on, let's go.
Yep.
And yes, the idea of tanking is stupid because now it's gotten to the point where the bottom 3 teams have the same amount of like the same odds to
Yep.
get the #1 pick. I mean, still like that's the 3 worst teams right there. So still tanking. If you're the bottom 3, you got a pretty good chance of getting the #1 pick. It's either a 1 through 3, and first 3 guys in a draft could end up being something really good. Like look
Yeah.
at Mellow Ball right now. Look at Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards just had a crazy posterized dunk on Yuta Watanabe a couple games ago. Like that was
That
sick. It blew
that was
up.
bad. That dunk was
But
crazy.
but
You
no,
just wish that
yeah,
there were fans there in the arena for that one.
right. They would have gone crazy. But
Yep.
going back to the stat line for Time Lord, he needs to start. I think we've gotten to the point now where he just has to start because he's been on the team for so long. Got to do something. It's either you trade him or you start him.
Yep.
He's too good to trade, and he's right there to start. I don't think that we have
Yeah.
Tristan Thompson or Tice start anymore. I think it's going to be Time Lord for these next couple of games.
I agree. My favorite lineup currently is having Tice and Time Lord start together. And then if you make a trade to fill out that 4 spot, fine. But for right now, I don't know why Time Lord isn't starting, why he isn't getting more minutes. These stat lines are crazy. He has good chemistry with the rest of the team. He's young and has so much potential too. So I really hope we see something happen with Time Lord for the second half of this season. So
Yeah,
I
me
hope
too.
that Brad Stevens doesn't blow it.
Yeah, but that's the Brad Stevens thing to go and blow it. So we'll see.
All right. Let's talk about the TPE a little bit. I saw someone bringing up Harrison Barnes, so I thought about it.
Yeah, let's go.
Some a good debate here is whether we should be using it before the deadline or wait until the off season. So there's a couple of different things that this conversation would have to work around. First of all, even if we do make a trade before the deadline, would any of the potential trades that we've looked at be enough to make this a championship team?
I don't think so. I think whenever you and I had talked about it a couple of days ago, like while we were at work, but I don't think a trade right now really helps our chances. It may sound crazy, but I don't think that one or two people are going to come in here and be that exact person that we need to have them be to push us to a championship team. Yes, we may be missing one or two pieces, but I don't think you can expect someone to come in right off the bat and be Superman.
Right. I agree. And I think that a lot of Celtics fans do expect that with like some of these home run trades, like Andre Drummond and Blake Griffin is one of them that's been floating around. Harrison Barnes. I do like him, but it's like, is bringing in one guy like that gonna fix all of the problems that this team has? A lot of it hinges on Kemba Walker too. Like how much can we depend on him to be consistent? Because he hasn't been so far.
I mean, yeah, his consistency is a very big key to this team's success. So
Collins was another one too. I forgot to bring him up.
We had talked about him for a little bit. I think we've hit on him like way too much, but I don't know if that's gonna happen because of just how team contract healthy he is. And then he's gonna. There was another thing that came out yesterday that they were saying that he was gonna get like $28 million for his next contract from other teams. We have the TPE, but I don't think you want to use that whole TPE on John Collins.
Yeah, that's fair. I would like to ideally get someone who at least has 2 years on their current contract. I think that fits with the timeline well.
Yeah, I think they were talking about it on Danny's interview on Tusher and Rich, I think that's what it's called. They're looking to use the TPE in the offseason. That's what they're eyeing on, is they're going to use it in the offseason. They're not going to use it right now.
They said the Celtics are going to?
Yeah. Yep. They said that they're going to use it in the offseason. They may use Cantor's and Poirier's right now, which is the 2.5 and the 5 mil. But as of right now, I don't think they're going to use that $28 million TPE until the offseason. I mean, if we get someone like DeRozan, that's not too bad.
Yeah. Honestly, like, I'm not even that mad at that headline because, first of all, you could get a couple of decent players with those other TPEs that we have, the smaller one. You could at least try to bring in one guy who makes somewhat of a difference, maybe like a PJ Tucker type of player.
That's the thing, though.
Or would the money work with that, or not quite?
I think it might, but also at the same time, he's on a 1-year deal. He's a free agent next year.
Yeah.
So it's like the whole John Collins thing again. John Collins is going to be a restricted free agent, but Tucker is going to be an unrestricted free agent.
Yeah. Well, what if we just use the smaller TPE for John Collins and then let him walk anyway? Just as a hey, you know what? We're going to try it, and if it doesn't work, whatever. What else were we going to get?
Right. And to pull up that comment, the DeRozan would be great, but we have too many wings. That's where you move Jaylen Brown back to the shooting guard.
Yeah.
And you have Smart come off the bench. You have a lineup of, even if
play Smart at the point too, if you really want to.
Yeah. If you want to, you have so many different. It's not like 2K. You can't. It's not like set in stone where you have to have them in certain positions. You can move them around wherever you want. So, like, Brown could be at the point, or Brown would not be a point. Brown could be at the shooting guard, and then you could have DeRozan at the small
maybe.
forward, or you could switch. Yeah, exactly. So
Point Tatum,
yeah, that'd be great.
Point forward Tatum, yeah. I like the idea of it, but he's not there yet.
No, he's not. He's not Ben Simmons.
No, or he's not LeBron yet.
Right. He's better than Ben Simmons, but he's not good in the department of being a point forward. So
yeah, Ben Simmons' defense though
is ridiculous.
Yeah, he's a legit like
what he lacks in 3-point shoot. Yeah, what he lacks in 3-point shooting is what he makes up for in defense.
Yeah, I still think he and Embiid are a top 3 duo in the NBA.
Well, I wouldn't go as far as saying top 3. I'd probably say top 5.
Like as in top three, I mean like number three. So,
Oh, there you go. I'd say
but
top five,
it
being
just
five.
sounds cooler if I say top three.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but anyway, they're getting back to the conversation. I do think that there are probably going to be more attractive moves that we could make if we wait till the off season. There's a big free agency coming up, and yes, there are some trade rumors. We've talked about a lot of them, but you don't know like behind the scenes what the potential deals would be and what these teams are
Right.
asking for. So if there's going to be more options in the off season, why don't we use the smaller one and just wait it out?
Exactly. I mean, if we were to use the Cantor TPE, which is around 5 mil for Collins, and then throw in a couple of like there was talks saying that it would be a lottery pick, or a very like a young talent, right? I think that's what the source was saying.
Yeah.
So maybe you throw out a Romeo whenever he gets back. Maybe you throw out a Grant Williams. Grant wasn't he like 26 or something like that for one of our picks?
Yeah. Yeah,
22,
I
26.
believe he was in the 20s.
I mean, that's a little far out of the lot. Like that's past the lottery, but still, you could have Grant or Romeo be that person you throw in like a second
Yeah.
round pick with the TPE,
Or like
and that
Grant in a first, maybe.
I would maybe. I
It
mean,
depends like how high up our pick would be.
yeah, it depends on what
But
the asking point is for that pick. I mean, maybe you do like a Grant and a 2023 first round pick,
yep.
but I wouldn't do it like this year's pick.
Get some background noise.
Yeah, they're playing a nasty game of cards right now. So
Oh jeez.
yeah,
Oh yeah, actually I like that someone brought this up because I meant for us to bring it up. It looks like the Mavericks are really trying to gauge interest for Porzingis right now.
yeah, I've heard a lot
His
of that too.
his defense has been god awful for sure. It's worth mentioning that, but he's huge. He can shoot the ball.
He's got too many injuries.
Yeah, and he's overpaid too.
He's very injury prone, especially with that knee.
Yeah.
So it's just like you're trading Kemba's knee for Kristaps' knee.
I want to look up his contract real quick because I know
He's.
I want to see how much he's paid.
I think like the last year of his deal is like basically what Kemba's making right now.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's like inflated. Like
This
out.
season he's making 29 million.
Yep.
And yeah, the last season there's a player option for 36 million. But
Yeah,
we
it's
would have him
front-loaded.
through 2023 to 24.
I don't.
But
That's the tough thing, though. Like, I don't know. It's just
he's not playing
the
for
last
that
couple.
amount of money.
No, he's not. He hasn't made that much of an impact on the Mavs, anyways. Like Luka is completely carrying that team. That man's gonna get a back injury for carrying that team too much.
Agreed. Yeah,
like
and they
Luka needs to get
haven't
out.
been good.
Oh yeah, look at this. Repping this old school Boston Celtics shirt.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, I like that. Let's talk about some of the free agents too for the off season.
Okay, cool.
You brought up DeRozan, so I mean we kind of touched on that. I'm on board if we could make it happen. I think he would be a good piece. I think aside from Brown and Tatum, our wing depth has been pretty slim this season. Seen too many Semi Ojeleye and Javonte Green minutes for my liking.
Yeah.
I think if Romeo comes back and he plays well, that helps it a little bit, but I don't think that getting a DeRozan would hurt at all. And what else do we have? Mike Conley, right?
We've got Mike Conley, who's an unrestricted free agent. We've got
Lowry.
One of the guys that was talked about back the year after we won the 2008 championship. I know I talked about it our very first podcast that we did.
Yep.
Chris Paul he's got a player option.
Yeah,
So if he waives that, then
yeah,
he's got too many injuries too. I mean, he's got the whole hamstring injury back whenever he's playing with the Rockets. He's had a couple of injuries as well. I mean, um,
I guess it would come down to how happy he is in Phoenix.
yeah, I mean they're doing really good right now. They're the fourth seed in the West. So Mike Conley wouldn't be a bad one. Right now, Mike Conley, we've got Kyle Lowry, but he said that he wanted to go play for the 76ers.
Yeah, I did hear that. Yep.
Yep. Otto Porter Jr., Andre Drummond is going to be an unrestricted free agent next season.
Paul Millsap too.
Yep, LaMarcus Aldridge.
I think Millsap would be a good fit.
Who else? Goran Dragic has a team option next year.
Tice is going to be a free agent.
Yep. We've got Tice as a free agent. We're losing Taco.
I'd like to see them extend
Tremont.
Tice.
Yeah. We're losing Taco and Tremont too.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, wait, are we losing Taco? I thought we were bringing him back.
Yeah. This is
that was just
his
for
last
this
year of his
season.
two-way. This is the last year of his two-way.
Okay, so they would have to want to bring him back again.
I don't think so. He's 24 and he hasn't really done much but garbage minutes, and he's missed a lot. He's missed a lot of like really close layups. There's a couple people too.
I'd be fine with letting Tremont go. He's a G League guy, honestly.
Yeah. There's a couple other people that I want to talk about too, real quick. Evan Fournier from the Magic is an unrestricted free agent, as well as Kelly Oubre.
Oh,
now
okay.
Kelly Oubre could play small forward, and you could have Jalen be the shooting guard, or you could have Evan Fournier come in and be that shooting guard, and you keep Jalen at the small forward position.
Yeah.
And Evan Fournier is known for hitting pretty lights out. So, another one is JJ Redick, who's been in a couple trade talks with the Celtics.
Yeah.
You have Cody Zeller, a center out of Charlotte. Kelly Olynyk is going to be a free agent next year. Let's bring back Olynyk.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Why not at this point?
At this point, there's a couple other people like Serge Ibaka and Montrezl Harrell also have player options, as well as Derrick Jones Jr., who's had his name been tossed around a couple of times for other teams, but he's one of those high flyers that was in the dunk contest. Signing Boogie, let's talk about that real quick.
Yeah.
So he was cleared off waivers a couple days ago, so now any team can go and sign him. His contract is already guaranteed through the Rockets, so do you sign him on a vet minimum? If his contract is already guaranteed, do you sign him on a vet min?
How's his shooting been this season?
Let me look it up.
Because at this point for me, if a big can't shoot, I don't want him on the Celtics right now. Just because we already have a lot of bigs who are competing for minutes.
Do you want to talk about Quinn Cook while I look this up?
I already found it, actually. He's shooting 33.6% from 3. So not awful, but...
Yeah. I mean, it's sub-tier.
Yeah. It's not the worst.
Quinn Cook is another person that I was talking to you about as well. So we just got waived by the Lakers. He is a pretty decent point guard. He runs mostly point guard, and he this year is 46% from the field, with 38% from 3. And his free throw percentage is 80. So he's got...
That's not bad.
what did I say? So basically 50, 40, 80 right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really not that bad, and it's better than Teague. I would rather take Quinn Cook over Jeff Teague right now.
Yeah,
I
for
mean,
sure.
he had a decent performance yesterday.
Also
but
against
that man
the
is known
Hawks
for
too.
Yeah.
He played all right against the Hawks on the 24th. Shot a decent percentage, but on the season, Jeff Teague has been pretty bad.
Who do you think is going
34%.
to retire this year?
Jeff Teague.
Jeez, I don't.
Yeah, I mean, if he's an improvement over Jeff Teague, why not? But
Yeah.
remember, like at the way beginning of the season, like I think the first game, like Jeff Teague was playing well for us. Like I wish he could just
Everyone's
get back
like,
to
"Oh,
that.
best
Like,
signing of this year," and then he ends up just like turning over almost every possession.
Yeah.
Right after that, everyone's
It's
like,
like-
"Yeah," and then
it's like you don't have to be amazing. Just do something. Shoot at least
Right.
40%.
it's like that meme where the guy with the stick and he's like poking it, and he's like, "Come on, do something." Man.
Yeah, right. So, maybe if Jeff Teague doesn't work out, if we give it a little more time and it doesn't, we could pursue someone like Quinn Cook. I don't think that's the worst idea.
Real quick, anyone in the comments, if you know about NBA Top Shot, did anyone secure their pre-order for their pack? If you don't know what I'm talking about, we may go. I'd like to go like do a topic of it during one episode. Maybe not today, but
Yeah, maybe
probably like
next show.
week. But NBA Top Shot is getting a hefty amount of talk right now, and it's definitely at one of its peak bubble states. But definitely have to talk about it.
Did you see this comment? Eric Gordon?
Man's too old. Man is really old. He's getting there.
He is averaging a good amount of points. I mean, I said this about Quinn Cook too, but like it's not the worst idea. It's not my favorite one, but I'm not completely against it. He's shooting almost 45% from the field, 33.7% from three on 18.4 points. That's not that bad.
That's the thing. Like the other team that so I have a confession. So I watch the Celtics, right? And then I also keep up with the Houston Rockets as well. So to hear Eric Gordon, and I've seen how he's played before, and I know how he plays, to see him on the Celtics would maybe be a step up from some of our young talent, but I don't know where he finds his role in the team. Just like Gordon Hayward had that trouble trying to find his role, I don't think he has a place on the Celtics because he's one of those like C-class players that contributes but has terrible nights as well. So he's Teague, but at the shooting guard and small forward position.
Yeah, and he's got more left in the tank than Teague too. Teague is like on empty. Eric Gordon's probably got like a quarter of a tank left.
Yeah, I mean something's better than nothing.
Quick shout out to Matt. Thanks for joining us, man. Hope you're having a good night.
Ooh, I like that comment.
I like this one. All right, let's keep it moving here. You wanted to talk about Brad Stevens a little bit.
Yes.
More than willing to do that because he has been getting some criticism about his coaching this season. Obviously, we're on a little bit of a lighter note because we beat the Pacers last night, but that's not to say that this season hasn't been pretty bad. So
this is one of our years that we've been pretty subpar, and we can all agree on that. Brad Stevens has been here for 7-8 years. I think this is 8 years now as the head coach for the Celtics. Has led us. I understand that he's led us to the Eastern Conference Finals 3 out of the 4 years that we were on our way there. But to, just have him be that coach that hasn't really been able to push us past that makes me wonder if there's other candidates that have a better chance of being our head coach. There was a poll that came out on one of the guys that I follow for Twitter. I forget his name, but he was like, "Oh, so you want to fire Brad? Who is your candidate to be the next head coach?" And I said David Vanterpool, which is a guy that has had chance after chance to be a head coach, but no one is willing to give him a chance. And I think that if he were to get a chance, he would be one of the best coaches in the league, because this man has won multiple championships overseas. He has coached Cat as well as D'Angelo Russell, and before that, he had spent 7 to 8 seasons as a assistant coach with the Portland Trail Blazers, while Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum were in their rookie seasons, and he helped develop them into being the players that they are now.
Also worth mentioning, he played 1 season with the Wizards in 2000, and he averaged 5.5 points. That's my favorite.
So he's been a player in the league. He's been a player in the league. Knows how the league works. Knows how basketball works. The thing that blows my mind is that people don't want to fire Brad Stevens, but if you see it from the perspective that I can see it, Brad Stevens, yes, I get that he may have signed an extension in the offseason for 5 years. Something just fell. But to see this man go from collegiate basketball to just straight to the NBA without anything in between, like any coaching overseas, and winning a championship with an overseas team as a player, as a coach. He's played collegiate basketball, he's coached collegiate basketball, and then just made an immediate jump into a head coaching position. Didn't take an assistant head coach position, wasn't a trainer for anything. Like, what Stephen A. Smith has said about Brad, I agree with it, because there's something weird about having Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown be on a – I mean, they're over 500 now, but back whenever he was talking about it, they were under 500, and they were a 500 team right around that point. You have to motivate your players. You have to push them to be the best person that they can be on that court. And to not have those players be the best versions of themselves, and to just be sub-tier and be a sub-500 team blows my mind. It blows my mind, dude. And to see that they have gone to the Eastern Conference Finals so many times and not made it to the finals, what's left to change? You've changed the players around, and we've gotten worse. There has to be at some point where it's like, maybe it's the coach, maybe it's the GM, maybe it's even the owner, dude. Like, maybe it's just Wick and they're holding back on something. You have to be forward thinking with this team, because if you're not forward thinking to think about the next championship, I get it, you're creating relationships with like GMs and head coaches, and Brad has been here for a long time. The last time we had a different coach was before it was before Brad and right after Doc, I believe. We had like a little interim coach for a little bit, didn't we? Or was it just straight from Doc to Brad?
I don't know, Matt Cornelio, if you're in the chat, do a check on that for us.
Yeah, if you can, please. We just might as well make you a mod for the stream. But just to think that Doc Rivers got us to a championship and then ended up with the Clippers after that, and then to have Brad Stevens come in, straight from Doc to Brad, perfect. Thank you, Brady. To see us go from a coach that pushes our players to end up being a championship team. Yes, I understand that we had Pierce and Rondo and KG. KG was the motivator for that team. So to see Brad just stand around and he's not doing anything about that, I'm like, what are we doing? Like, maybe it is time to fire the coach. He's been here for 8 years. I don't think people remember how long he's been here. And some people are like, oh, he's only been here for like 2 or 3 years, right? No, he's been here for almost 8. And we've only been to the Eastern Conference Finals 3 times. So that means 5 other years of this, we've just been subpar.
Yeah.
We've been either a second-round exit, or we haven't made it to the playoffs, or we're a first-round exit.
Yeah, I'm going to take a different position from you.
All right, go ahead.
I respect the argument, though. I think it's a fun debate. And certainly Brad, I think, deserves criticism. You heard Kendrick Perkins also giving him some criticism on ESPN. And I definitely think, like, if you talk
Go
about,
off,
like,
yes, if it's PG-13.
yeah, right. No, you say whatever you want. But I also think that, like, in general, when talking about Brad Stevens, I think the year with Kyrie and Hayward really hurt his reputation, because that should have been a team that could make it to the finals. I mean, that team was loaded talent-wise, and he couldn't handle the egos. He couldn't make it work. I think from there, like, Brad Stevens' reputation was hurt a little bit. But
which I agree with you on that point.
Yeah, and I don't think that the Celtics should move away from Brad, though. I think that he should get some criticism. I think he should play Rob Williams more. I think he should try to get Tatum and Brown playing with other people on the team better, and try to develop Tatum as a point forward. I think that would be beneficial for the team. But I think a lot of it really does come on Danny Ainge. I did see someone saying this in the chat as well. I think that the roster is not meant to be a competitive team as at the moment, just because there's so many young guys who aren't ready yet to be competitive in the NBA, and maybe they will be at some point, but they're not there yet. And I think that falls on Danny Ainge, because at the end of the day, he's the one who constructed this roster. You can't put that much pressure on Tatum and Brown. And yes, they're really good, but obviously we're seeing the results right now. People are frustrated with this team, and I definitely think that falls on roster construction. And I think that before we really make a decision on Brad, I think that Danny Ainge has to do something about either making a trade or trying to fix this roster a little bit.
So, another question to ask you. If we don't make the playoffs this year, do you think Brad and Ainge are on the hot seat with Wick? Because I think from what was it after Doc left, we didn't make the playoffs for a while until around, I think it was whenever Isaiah Thomas came in, which was 2015, 16. So we didn't make the playoffs for a while, and then now we're dipping back off into not making the playoffs for a year after going to the Eastern Conference Finals. So you see this drop, right? So from going to an Eastern Conference Finals team in the bubble to going not even making the playoffs, and it's such a dramatic jump that it's unfathomable.
Yeah. This comment that I threw up, this is the big reason that I think we should be focusing on Ainge right now. Like, I don't think that there's nothing on this roster. Obviously, we have Kemba, Brown, and Tatum. Kudos to Ainge for getting that, and I think there is some good young talent on the team, but I definitely think that he could have used some of those assets and picks better to get some good, like, bench scoring and, like, shooters who can create their own shot on this team to better surround Brown and Tatum. I think this is the big thing where Ainge messed up a little bit, but I think that he can still save it, like I said, by making a trade or doing something this upcoming offseason if they save the TPE. That's really where I'm focused on right now. I'm not looking at Brad yet. I'm not there yet personally.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think just for me, because I see Brad more than Ainge, I think that's where my criticism lies, is because, you work with this team almost every single day. You know what they're capable of. So that's where my criticism comes from. I don't think Ainge is in the building every day. I hope he is, but just to know that Brad works with this team more closely and he's in the locker room with these guys and he knows how they feed off of one another. If he sees something, he has to nip it in the bud, like just right
Mhm.
there. If he sees something positive, hey, let's expand on that. Let's keep going with that. But to just see this team, we had a pattern that we're winning a game, losing a game, winning a game, losing a game, and then we went lose, 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 win. So it's like we're taking one step forward and another step back, just like playing this back and forth game, and then we take 3 steps back and we're like, oh, we're out of the playoff, like we're out of playoff talks now. But it's so close in the East, and I think this is going to be one season where it comes down to the last game to see if you're in the playoffs or not. And I mean, even if we're like a 7th seed or a 10th seed, we still have that play-in tournament because they have the play-in tournament
Right.
this year that they picked up from the bubble.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up.
So you have to win all those games. If you're a 10th seed, you're going against the 9th seed, and then you're just like playing your way up. But yes, Danny Ainge has been off with his picks a lot, and he is whenever he has to pick out of the top 5, they end up mostly mediocre. So just knowing that I don't know where this team's vision is. Like, of course we want to make a championship run, but this team is not capable of making a championship run. So where do you realistically see this team? Do you see it out of the playoffs? Do you see us being a top 10 pick in the draft this coming season or this offseason, and then we end up getting a guy like a DeMar DeRozan or something like that? I mean, is that the focus right now? Is that like we target DeMar DeRozan, we like end up getting like a top 10 pick in the draft and he ends up being something so we can chip off one of these these lower picks that we've had from previous years, like Carson Edwards, Javonte Green, who we ended up picking up at like the last second, or getting rid of Semi. Like Semi stayed because Gordon left. If Gordon would have came back, we would have dropped Semi's option.
Yeah, this is Semi's last year too.
And he knows that too. He knows that, hey, if Gordon Hayward came back, I would have been gone. I wouldn't have been here right now. I would have been on a completely different team, or I would have been playing overseas. So I think that lights a fuel under him to play better, but it hasn't really pushed him forward that far.
Yeah.
So base pay, Matt, we'll have to talk about it later. But
yeah, the budget's tight right now, Matt.
I just don't know where I see this team.
I agree with these last two. I was about to say, Sebastian, you're close to where I am. I would have them right now as like finishing as the 5th or the 4th.
Yep.
I think Brady had that as well. I think that open to negotiation. All right, Matt. Yeah, we'll talk about it.
All right, sounds good.
So I think the second half of the season things are going to pick up a little bit. I think getting Smart back will kind of bring the energy up. I think if we can get more of these types of performances from Kemba, get more like 25 points a game type of performances, I think that'll make a big difference. I think Kemba not playing well is really has been what shed a light on the roster construction. Like if Kemba was consistent this season and didn't miss the beginning of the season, we probably wouldn't be this upset about the Celtics because
we'd be probably top 3.
Yeah, because honest. It wouldn't have magnified all the little problems with their roster right now. So I think if Kemba can just keep building on this progress, and if it really is a mental thing, just try to get out of that, and Smart will help bring the energy up when he comes back. I think we'll make a push towards the end of the season and finish out at the 5 or the 4 seed, personally. But aside from that, we're getting close to an hour here, so I wanted to kind of wrap up and give some closing thoughts.
We were like, oh yeah, we're gonna make this 45 minutes, then it ends up being an hour every single time.
Yeah, we got to work on that. But so that's fine. I wanted to talk about Celtics Wizards a bit.
Okay, go ahead.
We can throw it up. Last time we played the Wizards, obviously we all know it was a nightmare. Barely any effort. I think that was a matinee game, right?
Yeah, I think that the thing is I think that Tatum has a rough time playing earlier games than playing later games, and it shows. So
Yeah,
hopefully, what time does this game start tomorrow?
yeah.
Let's try and
Good.
figure that
That's a
out
valid
because
question.
7 p.m.
That's a positive sign then. That's one step in the right direction here.
So I mean, this is supposed to be a winnable game, but the Wizards are on such a hot streak right now. It's honestly a toss up. So I don't think that's a matchup I want to see though. Is the Celtics versus Raptors? Just to hit on that real quick.
Yeah.
That was a seven game series in the bubble. So I don't think I want to see that again. Yeah. So Wizards. Let's keep on track.
Did we even have Kemba last time we played them?
The Wizards? I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think we did either. And it's not a back-to-back, so we should be good to go with that.
Let's see if I can bring it up.
I got it.
You got it? I just had it at the same time as you.
He did play.
Oh, it tells me that he didn't play at all. It says 0 minutes.
What?
I have it on the NBA thing right here on the NBA app.
On the 14th?
Oh, that's because we won the last game in January against them.
Yeah. No, this was the 14th. I think Tatum was the one who played bad, if I'm remembering correctly.
Maybe.
But anyway.
Oh, yep, there we go. I got it.
I think this game will be different personally. I think we've got some positive momentum from the Pacers game. I think that the last time we lost to the Wizards, I think that was the low point in the season. I think the players tomorrow are going to have kind of that bad taste in their mouth from last time we played them and maybe want to try to prove a point a little bit. So I'm hoping that that's kind of where they're at mentally. I think it's where they should be. This is definitely a better team, and they shouldn't be losing to the Wizards.
Right. And I think it was a question a couple questions ago. What is your top target right now for the TPE? I know that you had commented Vooch.
Yes.
I think mine right now.
But it's unrealistic.
I mean, yeah, but I think mine right now would have to be in the offseason. I would like to see us get a DeMar DeRozan. So, bye, Matt.
Have a good one, Matt. Thanks for joining.
I think DeMar DeRozan is probably going to be a more realistic option because we're missing that wing. We're missing that wing presence. So, if we end up getting him, cool. If we don't, happens. I don't know. I don't think he's going to sign back with the Spurs. I think he wants to go somewhere else because he's sick of playing for Pop. I mean, I don't think a lot of players are sick of playing for Pop, but I think he thinks that Greg Popovich is going to retire after this season. So, I mean, it wouldn't come as a surprise because he's been in the league for a while. I think Tim Duncan is going to end up being the head coach for that team. Maybe it's someone else. Maybe it's the I don't. Okay, let me get her name up so I don't just this.
I'm thinking. Go ahead if you got it.
You're all good. I don't have it yet.
Okay. I'm thinking next episode, let's plan out some of our top off-season targets and really flesh out that conversation a little bit more.
Yeah.
So that people can kind of get the full debate between making a move now or waiting, because there are some good options.
And I've got the coach up. So Becky Hammond is the assistant coach for the San Antonio Spurs, and if they're looking to make history, they can make her the first female head coach in the NBA.
Yep. So, that'll be something to look out for.
If Pop retires this year, it's a toss-up between Tim Duncan and Becky Hammond. So.
Okay. Anyway, any thoughts on Celtics Wizards before we wrap up here?
I hope we win. I honestly hope that we win because you and I will be working tomorrow, and whenever we get out of work, I don't want to hear that we're down 12 with with 3 minutes left in the third quarter to go. So I definitely hope that we win this game. It's a very winnable game against a team that has a hot streak right now, but I think they've been planning this. They've had this game penciled in for a while now because they don't want to get made a fool of again.
Yeah. So fingers crossed tomorrow goes well. We're gonna sign off here. Thanks for joining us, guys. It's been fun, and we'll be going live next Saturday. So keep an eye out for that. And go Celtics.
Ooh. Should we also say that if a trade does happen,
good point.
Emergency podcast, hopefully as soon as we get out of work.
Yeah,
it'll happen. So we'll let you guys know.
I'm down with that.
We'll let you guys know.
Yep. Yeah. So if that happens, expect some kind of update. But if not, we'll see you guys Saturday. Thanks so much for joining us and participating in the live chat. And we'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.
See ya.